Good morning, everybody. Your teacher's saying, well, welcome to First Job Lincoln. I'm Kim Michael, and I'm the chair of the program, so you may have seen my name or heard my name around, contact information. I'm so happy to be here with you today. You're the first of two sessions that we're doing today for our ASIP program, and you need to congratulate yourself for being here, because that means you want to learn more about how to prepare for a job, what you need to do, and how to have exposure to employers that have real life professional positions that you have a possibility to acquire. So what's unique about First Job Lincoln is we connect you guys, high school students, which I have to tell you is kind of difficult to tell an employer in Lincoln, hey, hire a high school student for an IT position, because they are usually looking at college level. So we are able to make those connections on your behalf to get you exposure to employers and positions that you otherwise may not have been able to. So congratulations for taking the initiative to be here, and I hope you enjoy the hour before you. I'm going to go over some next steps right up front so that you know what's coming in the next few weeks and months. Does everybody have this piece of paper in front of you? This is what I'll be going over. Okay. Obviously, it's Friday, February 24th, and you're here, so you can check that one off. Today, you're going to receive preparedness tools, job coaching information, and then 2 weeks from now, Friday, March 3rd, is going to be a mock interviews, and that's really important because you're going to take the skills that you learned today and put those into practice for a mock interview with human resource professionals. So it's very important that you take notes about today, you practice what you hear, so that when you meet with the HR professional, you can put those into place. Couple things. Make sure you note your designated mock interview time. And Dan and Hildy, how will they know? They sign up for it, but you'll...
Right, yeah, and
okay.
yeah, we'll make sure that they're...
Okay. Okay, how many people in the room are from other schools other than TCA? Do I have other, couple of you? So make sure that you talk to your IT instructor, because I'll be emailing him or her about that to make sure that they remind you about the time slot to sign up for the mock interview. Okay? If you can, make sure you dress for success at your mock interview. I realize some of you may be in sports, or because of your class schedule, you're not able to do that. But if you can, dress for success from what you learned today, and you'll know what I mean here in a little bit. Bring your resume with you. If you do not have a resume, start working on a resume now, because you'll show that to the HR professional, and they'll give you some tips and some coaching on that as well. And those resumes are what we're going to provide to the employers ahead of time, so they kind of have a profile of who the students are. So it's very important. Bring your resume to the mock interview. It doesn't have to be final, but it needs to be in decent enough shape so that the HR professional can look at it and give you some guidance. And then you'll have a little bit of time to spruce it up if you need to, so that it's ready for the job fair day. So March 13th is very important. Email your final resume to your instructor, your IT instructor, because the IT instructor is going to get that resume to me so I can get it to your employer, or to the employers at the job fair. If I don't have your resume, it will look bad, because it will show them, why don't we have it? And so they may not look at that as favorably as someone who has a resume in our packet. The week of March 20th is what I have slated for your instructor to provide the job descriptions from the employers that are participating in the program. Why is that important to you? It's because you want to look at that list and you want to see which skills they're looking for that may be a good match for you, areas of interest, and that type of thing. Friday, March 31st is the big day, so to speak. That's our job fair day, and that's going to be here at the Career Academy. You will need to dress for success that day, as if you were going to a real interview. And you'll need to bring paper and pen so that you can jot down information. Make sure that you're prompt. It starts at 1 p.m. for sign-in, and the job fair starts at 1:15. Do not be late for that. That would be a very important day to be on time for that. turn over the back of your sheet because I want to point out the employers. We have 12 employers who are participating in the program. You may not recognize some of these employers, or you may think you know these employers and you may not be interested. Do not sell yourself short on this. These are excellent employer opportunities who have been participating in our program over the last 5 years. And there's students in the room that have secured jobs with some of these employers. These are veteran First Job Lincoln students over here. Learn from them as they speak. These guys, some of them still have jobs from these employers, and so these have been excellent opportunities from the program. You will want to begin to do research on these programs or these employers. In other words, you guys know how to do this probably better than any of us standing up here. Get on the website, learn about these employers, what you need to know, because that will help you at the job fair to have something in common when you talk to the employers. So be sure you do that, and I would recommend you do research on all of the employers on here. Don't just pick one or two that you want to get a job at. Do all of the employers so that you're familiar on who they are, what they do they make a product, that type of thing. May 1st is the target date that we're asking the employers to finalize job offers. And each employer will have their own hiring criteria, meaning what we're doing is connecting you with the employers, but they most likely will want to call you into their office for a formal interview in addition to talking to you at the job fair. That's been pretty standard over the last 5 years. And that is good for you guys because that's just even more practice for you. But all of the job offers are up to the employer. The hours, the wage, how long the internship is. That is between you and the employer. So one thing I want you to think about from here on out is, when would you want to start? How long do you want to work? Do you have any family obligations that you would need to tell them about? Are you taking a family vacation? Do you have to help out at home? Know that information before the job fair if you can, because those employers don't want to mess around with trying to get a hold of you and then you say, oh, I'm not interested, or I'm taking a vacation for 2 weeks and I can't start till later. Be prepared. They're going to work with you. You just need to be able to tell them what your schedule is. Does that seem fair? Okay. We have 12 employers, and I wrote 14 to 15 interns on here. I got some information late yesterday, so I can't remember. This may be slightly higher number, but if you're looking at that and sitting in this room and thinking there's a whole lot more of us than there is of jobs, that would be accurate. One of the foundations of our program is real-world experience. When you go apply for a job, you're going to have a lot of competition. Not everyone is going to get an internship, but this will still be a very valuable experience for you for the next time that you do a job interview. We have about 51 students registered for the program. So we have an afternoon session that will be full, just similar to this. So June to August, we anticipate is your internship period, but again, you set your own schedule with the employer about how long you want to work, how long they want to employ you. You will be assigned what's called a buddy advocate from our program. So someone like me or Judy Fisher over here, we have a committee. We will be assigned to you if you secure an internship to answer questions, to work with the employer. So we don't just release you to the employer and expect you not to have anyone to turn to if you have questions. And then July 27th, another very important date, is our celebration event. So the employers that hire the students, we have an event to recognize the employers and the students for that, and that location is to be determined. But please tell your parents about that. In fact, I recommend you take this home and just put it on your fridge or a bulletin board somewhere where you can constantly look at it, somewhere that your parents can look at it, because your parents and your siblings are invited to that July event. Okay? Any questions at all? We like lots of questions when we're out here, so yes.
So the celebration will be for anyone that participates at all?
It's for those that secure an internship. Yes. Great question. Yes.
How long does the job fair normally run?
Great question. I believe it starts at 1:15, and I think we conclude about 3 or 3:15. So it's a short amount of time, and we'll get lots more information about that through your IT instructor as we go, but great question. Yes?
Will the internships all be paid or unpaid, or does it depend on the employer?
Excellent question. These are all paid internships, and they usually are above minimum wage. But yes, they're all paid. That's brought a smile to your face on that. Any other questions? None? Well, if you think of a question as we go through the hour, please just ask. Doesn't matter who's up here speaking, any one of us can answer. And congratulations again for taking your first step. Thank you very much. Yes, sorry. Cindy, sorry. This is Cindy Califf, and she has been coordinating this ACET event since the program began 5 years ago. And she is a life coach coordinator and counselor, and she has a lot of experience with helping people with securing jobs and coaching. So please welcome Cindy.
We so appreciate all of you signing up for this program and being here today. What I would like you to do, and some of you already done this, open up your packet. On your right-hand side of your packet, you can follow along with us today. You can write in some information to help you with some helpful notes about today's presentation. Also, on the right-hand side, you will see we provided some possible interview questions, and you can use those for prep for the mock interviews for next Friday. Also, there's a summary of a 2-minute pitch, and that's for you to prepare for the job fair. And also, there's some tips that Judy Fisher and Ty Biggerstaff are going to offer today. We have a summary of them on your right-hand side. Kim was talking about resumes. We've provided you with several resumes on the left-hand side of your packet. We're not saying your resume should be like this, but there are some examples that you can use to sort of model your own resume after. Well, you might be wondering, ACET, what the heck is ACET? We're going to tell you it's a very powerful acronym. And the A in ACET stands for appearance. And we are fortunate today to have Dawson McLaughlin and Sam Rylett, who have been first job interns. They have a lot of experience. They're going to share with you some tips about how to dress for the interview, how to dress for the job, and then I know you all, some of you anyway, have some helpful tips to share with the rest of the group. So Dawson and Sam, take it away.
Cool. Where do you want us to stand?
You could just stand right there and just let them know what to wear for the interview and for the job.
Okay, so we're going to tell you about how to dress for success. It's all part of the first impression that you make on an employer, and how you dress, tells a lot about you. So each employer looks for different dress code for each employee or applicant. I recommend that you dress like how you would when you have the job. So when we say dress for success, dress as if you have the job, basically. I worked over at the Nebraska Department of Labor across from the Capitol, and usually the average dress code was khakis and a dress shirt or a nice polo. So
What did you have?
However, at Tabitha, I had to wear long pants and a collared button-down shirt every day. It's the same.
yeah, so it's good to know who you're interviewing with and what they expect of you as a dress code. In IT, it can vary a lot. For me, it was the khakis and dress shirt. But if you were, say, out of college and you ended up in like Huddle, VMware, places like that, would they also work in IT? You show up in like sandals and a t-shirt. Like it differs from place to place. We always recommend business casual for interviews. That's about it. Does anyone have any tips to share?
I know that even sometimes for places like Huddle or Nebraska Global, they wear the shorts with the t-shirts. Don't wear that to an interview. Dress up a little bit higher than that. Basically, you want to make an impression with your attire.
Exactly. Business casual is usually the way to go, unless they ask for a stricter dress code, in which case a suit would be acceptable and good. Cool. All right.
We have a video as well.
Hi, I'm Dee Marshall, career and life coach at dcmarshall.com. And this is how to dress for an interview for teens. Yes, the teenagers, you want a job too, right? Here's the thing. Let me just tell you what you all sometimes do that may be working against you when you're trying to get a job, when you're walking in to pick up an application, and you think that it's a score. Let me tell you something. If you are wearing anything that is too trendy, that's a no. If it's too fitted, that's a no. If it's not fitted enough, meaning it's falling down, that's a no. If it's wrinkled, that's a no. So did you get that? The first part is what not to do for an interview, and like I said, it's even when you're going in to pick up an application. Okay, so now let me get to the good stuff. Here are the rules for what to wear for an interview if you are a teen. It's easy. Khakis, pants on the bottom for girls and boys. That's number one. The second thing is collared shirts for girls and boys. No t-shirts. Your shirt must have collar. The third thing is you must wear shoes. That means don't wear your sneakers into the interview. Now listen, if you see everybody else there with their sneakers on, that will be fine once you get the job, but you're trying to get the job. You need to impress the people there. You do that, okay? So let me show you what I mean, because I've given you all the rules, but you're thinking, all right, I need to see this. So first up, for the girls, this is just a regular slack. It's a khaki. This is appropriate for an interview. If you are a tween, a teen, you can wear this, okay? No leggings, no gym pants, no shorts, this, okay? It's simple. Then, what did I say? A collared shirt. Must have a collar. Now listen, you could go a little far to the right or to the left with this, but just make sure that it has a collar. Now, there's buttons here. So young ladies, make sure that the buttons are all the way up to the top. What we don't want to see is button all the way midway where there's some exposure. Okay, guys? Same thing. Collared shirt. This is appropriate. You're thinking, oh, that is so plain. How am I going to get a job? Listen, you can do whatever you want that is according to the dress code once you get the job, but you need to go in making a presentation for the interview and also grabbing an application. Always make sure that it's buttoned down perhaps and with a collar. Short sleeve or long sleeve would be fine. Now, if you're a little bit more fashionable, let me show you another shirt. Okay. So if you are this guy, right, it's a little bit more fashionable, a little bit more of a statement. And you know what, maybe it's that you're going into, I don't know, part-time in an office. This will be appropriate. Here, traditional khaki, however, every year the khaki gets updated. But this is an appropriate khaki. So if you are a teen, this would be appropriate. All right, so did you get that? Okay. You have the rules, and you now have some examples, but it's very simple. You must wear slacks, you must wear a shirt with a collar, and you must wear shoes. It's only for an interview. And guess what? If you really want to impress the folks, kick it up a notch. My name is Dee Marshall. I am career and life coach, and this is how to dress for an interview for teens.
Okay, so does anybody have any tips they want to share that they learned from the video? Go ahead.
Collared shirts, but if you want to be a little bit fashionable, that's okay.
So anybody else have anything they want to share? Go ahead.
Best pants are usually khakis.
It's true.
I was just going to mention that a first impression on an interview is so big, and you have a really cool story about your first impression, and I know I'm stealing some of your thunder, but it is so big that you look like you want to get the job when you walk in the door, you know.
It might be minor, but once they see you looking sharp, I mean, it's better than coming in with what you probably wear in school. I mean, people are gonna be impressed with it. It might not feel like a huge thing, but it is. It's gonna leave that impression on people that you're working hard for what you do.
Yeah, absolutely. People definitely notice, especially employers. What did they say about fitting? Anyone? Yes, there's like a middle zone that's perfect. You don't want it baggy and you don't want it tight fitting either. A lot of people don't really understand that, and they kind of go all out. Cool.
So those first, you have 5 seconds at the beginning to make your first impression just by your appearance. That's probably one of the biggest ones that helps you land a job. You come in looking, you know, hey, I have these jeans that I bought, they're trendy, they're cool. Probably not the best option. But definitely khakis, and for girls I do a dress that you can wear a dress. Khakis are, I would suggest, like the basics, but if you want to take a step up, go ahead and wear a dress. Wear a pantsuit, wear a skirt suit, no matter, doesn't matter.
I just want to interject too, as an employer, some things that weren't mentioned in the video. Check yourself on cologne and perfume. You don't want to overpower the person you're talking to so that that's the only thing they remember about you is, oh, that person wore way too much cologne. So I would take it down a notch on the cologne and perfume. I'm not saying don't wear it, but definitely put that into check. Hair should be groomed, you know, clean, groomed. If you need a haircut, get a trim. All those basic things will really help you, as Sabrina said, to make that first impression.
What do you wear for shoes?
Formal or dress shoe?
Exactly. Can anyone think of anything else not listed in the video that you might want to have in terms of appearance?
I would say as an employer, make sure you're bathed. There are people that don't take showers when they need to. They don't wash their hair when they need to. That's going to be a real turnoff for an employer if you're not smelling appropriate. I know Kim talked about not too much perfume, but make sure you're wearing your deodorant, showering before you come to the interview too.
Go ahead.
Something that wouldn't be recommended is probably going to be a belt, even if you have your shirt untucked and it's a stylish shirt. Just a little more professional if your shirt moves and they see the belt buckle.
That's a nice point, thank you.
So obviously, preparing for your appearance takes a lot of time. So if the appointment or the interview is in the morning, leave yourself enough time to get ready, to style your hair, or wear whatever you need to. It takes longer than you think, so leaving yourself a lot of time and getting there 5 minutes early helps a lot.
So yeah, I was gonna address be early. 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I wouldn't be more than 15, but just be early.
Be early is very important. That's also part of the first impression as well. The be early. If you're 5 minutes late, then you're already setting a bad impression. They don't care how you dress at that point. If you're late, you're already probably not going to get the job.
In terms of cutting your hair, it's probably a pretty good idea to have shorter hair, for the guys at least, from my experience. But at the same time, you have to be like confident in your appearance. If you cut your hair and it's not you, and you show up like you're worried about your appearance, it shows. So you want to look nice, and if you have longer hair, you should learn how to groom it. But you also want to be comfortable with your hair. So that's another thing in terms of first impressions, is confidence. And just remember, like, the employer that you're talking to is also interviewing, I mean, you're also interviewing them. They're trying to find the right fit, and you're trying to find the right fit for your job. So they're enthusiastic as you are. I mean, you really just have to own it.
Thank you, guys. The intern in the maroon dress is Sabrina Nelson, by the way, too. Okay, so that is the A, that's the appearance for ACIT. Next is the C, is customer service. We're very fortunate to have with us Andy Petrozelka. He was a first job Lincoln intern, and he turned it in to a job where they depend on him at Region 5 Services. Take it away, Andy.
Systems. Yeah, I work at Region 5 Systems with,
Region 5 Systems.
yeah, with Kim Michael. She's actually my boss, so I make a big mistake here. I might be joining you guys as a career fair, but we're hoping not. So, yeah, basically, I mean, I'm kind of here to talk about customer service, but also I've been doing this now for going on 4 years in May, so I have a bit of experience about it. But I mean, so customer service, the thing you really have to remember, with a lot of these jobs, you're not facing, you know, external clients, you're facing a lot of, you know, your coworkers. You don't want to make a bad impression on them sometimes, because they're the people you show up to work with every single day. I mean, it might just be a summer for some of you, and others of you might lock down a full-time job or a part-time job through college like I did, and then you're going to be seeing these people for a long time. I mean, if I, you know, showed up my very first few days and I was kind of grumpy and grouchy and wasn't very attentive and kind of interact with people, I probably wouldn't have been able to kind of secure where I'm at now. But, you know, you're not perfect. I mean, when I started, you guys actually have probably a lot more experience than what I had. I started at ITFP before it became the Career Academy, and our programming class taught us Visual Basic 6. I took independent study where I learned PHP, Ruby, Python, Java, all that kind of stuff. Then I took a computer science class through UNL senior year, and a little bit through Harvard, and that was like basically all they gave me. And they're just like, all right, go interview with these people. And I didn't even have half those classes by the time I got this job. Some of those came after I already had this job. But I mean, you guys have, looks like maybe a little bit better setup going for you here. So you guys have the experience, so that's nothing to worry about. I mean, these employers, they're not looking for perfect people, like fresh out of college. I mean, I've been to the college job fairs too. And, I mean, as a freshman or a sophomore at a college job fair, I mean, you're almost guaranteed to come out empty-handed. They want like full experience, fresh, like in college. They want you to basically have everything short of that degree. So, I mean, it's pretty hard to have that sort of resume as a freshman or a sophomore. So this is about your best opportunity. It is possible. There's a lot of companies that need 15 interns every summer, or maybe 3 times a year, and they do quarterly interns. So it's not impossible later on to get internships, but I'd really focus on what you're doing here to get those. But I mean, as far as working with people, some issues, you know, you get simple things, and some of you might do a lot of like external things with clients. You might work for a software development company, and then, you know, you have to elicit information from various clientele that need this made for them, or, oh, we need help virtualizing this server, can you help us with that? You have to be very specific about how you get the information from them. I mean, one of the courses I'm taking now is software engineering, and one of the things we spent probably the last month on is how do you talk to other people to get information. And it kind of overlaps with just working with people inside your organization. If you're working general IT or working on a team of programmers, everyone has a different vision in their head. And so when you talk to someone, you get something out of it, but they might have a completely different idea of what they want or what they need help with. And so if you leave thinking you know what they want, you go back, build what they want, or fix what you think they want, and then come back and it's absolutely wrong. I mean, that's not always the best. I mean, you could waste hours doing it that way. You could waste days or weeks. So always try and, you know, communicate pretty well with who you're working with and whoever you're talking to at the time. Information's key. So, I mean, that's basically all you really need to know. I mean, like I said, y'all have the experience for about everything you're going to need. So, I mean, when I started, we did, I guess I was supposed to redesign a website, which, I mean, I finally ended up doing maybe a year ago, so it took a little while to get to that. But, I mean, we virtualized servers. We went from standalone boxes with 2003 on them. We actually still have one, so but we had, you know, physical servers, and we still have 2 physical head units, but we're running virtual machines across those. So we had to virtualize a dozen or so servers. I mean, we had to migrate from Exchange 2010 to Office 365. You know, I still have to patch networking all the time. I have to give some Office PoE, and, you know, set up switches, install new switches. I mean, in the day and age we live, we're upgrading internet switches every couple of years. I mean, when I started, we were at least at 100, now we're at gigs, so it'll just keep switching, and you guys have the experience you'll need for that, but the big thing is how you interact with people, because you're not going to get the job solely off experience. You have to be able to sell yourself, you have to be able to interact with people. Even the way you interact with your interviewer is going to be a big key. If they think you can handle interacting with people in the organization, you're better off, you have a better chance of getting that job. So, I mean, you just got to project yourself, you got to show your experience, but you know, at the same time, you have to understand you don't know everything that they're going to ask you to do, and it's a lot of learning. I mean, I guarantee I've never touched Visual Basic 6 the entire time I've ever worked there. And so going in there saying, yeah, I have formal knowledge in Visual Basic 6, and that's it, probably, you know, at least it didn't hurt me. And the other, I guess, one of the big tips is, like you asked earlier, are these paid internships? And they are, but pay shouldn't be the only thing you look at for these internships. I got 3 offers when I took this program, albeit there's a lot fewer people applying for these jobs and a couple more employers, but some of them were paying, you know, upwards of 15, and some of them were right just a couple, you know, 25, 50 cents above minimum wage. And I mean, at the time, I'm like, oh, well, of course you just go with the most money, because that's what makes the most sense. We're, you know, I guess you're high school students, so you want the money. But at the same time, when you get to the interviews, you'll kind of know, like, if that's the right job for you. And that's what they said earlier. You're eliciting as much from the interviewer as they're eliciting from you. You're gonna find out a lot about who you're working for. I turned down jobs that paid twice what I started at, just because the entire interview was, how well can you Google solutions and relay that over the phone to people, because that's basically all you'll do for the entire summer. And I turned that down for more of a, you know, real job where I get to do just about everything I want to do and kind of run around doing my own thing, getting everything done. So, I mean, you guys have to make that decision, but it's really, you know, just go for what you want to do and don't be trapped doing something you don't want to do, because we need a lot more people for like IT, programming, all these fields, and if they scare you off because you spend the whole summer doing absolutely something you hate, then that's not good for us. So, I mean, anyone have any questions about anything? No? All right, turn it back over.
Thanks, Andy. We have a customer service video too. Thank you, Andy.
I get so caught up in like the talking about it.
And now I know you're waiting with bated breath for the E of ASIT, and that is enthusiasm. You're already picking it up from some of our former interns, and we're going to kick it up a step And we're going to pull Alexis Kennedy out from behind the screen here in the video. She is a First Job Lincoln intern who's parlayed her experience into a job with the Surety Life Insurance Company. She's here to share her enthusiasm.
And just to mention, I do think that the Surety Life Insurance will be at the job fair.
Yes.
So look for our booth. I'm not probably going to be there, but I know people that are going, so feel free to stop on by. So my name's Alexis Kennedy. I was in the First Job Lincoln stuff. Went to the job fair, got a couple of opportunities to do the internship stuff, and just through that experience, I was able to get my full-time position, and it was it's just a really cool experience that you guys are doing here. Don't let it go. You've got to participate and give your best effort. One of the things to prepare for when you're either at a job fair or an interview, or even just when you actually have the job, is being enthusiastic and some of the etiquettes that you need to have in place. And just to clear everybody's mind about this, whatever you do in the interview, it's going to be okay. You're going to bomb some interviews. That might happen. It's very likely. But just take a breath, calm down. There's going to be questions that they're asking you that you're not going to have the answer to. And they're more looking for answers of, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. That's better than making something up. Because they're going to know that you're making something up. So just when you go into an interview, just take a breath, calm down. Whatever happens, it's going to be okay. For me, that's something I have to remind myself, and I feel a little bit more confident, a little bit more enthusiastic when I go in. Something to make sure you do is make eye contact with your interviewers. They're looking for that social etiquette of making sure that you're going to actually look them in the eye when you're talking with them. The other thing is to make sure that you're going to do a handshake. Don't skip out on the handshake. You might want to even be the first one to stick your hand out there, introduce yourself. They might know your name already, but just, hi, my name's Alexis Kennedy. It's nice to meet you, that kind of stuff. So the biggest thing is making sure that you have that impactful handshake. Just as a short little story, I'm engaged to be married in June, and so I'm talking with a lot of vendors right now. One of them is the cake part, which is the best part. And so I talked with a couple of cake vendors, and there's a difference in a couple of them. The first one I went to, they walked in, they didn't really talk to me. It looked like they were just carrying the papers, looking at them. They just sat right down, didn't give me a handshake, which was okay. Their cake was good, and we had a good conversation. They asked me what I wanted, took down some notes. Then I went to go see another place, and I got that really strong man grab handshake thing going on. It threw me off a little bit, but I did remember it, and she was made sure she had the eye contact almost fully throughout our conversation, which just had a bigger impact to me. And it kind of ties in with the customer service stuff a little bit, because me as a potential customer, it's important that you make that emphasis. So I'm going to kind of have you guys do an exercise. You guys can pair up. You guys can probably just do the 3 handshakes and just do the, just reach over to your neighbor, just give a handshake. The things that you're looking for is to contact in the signs. Make sure that you're giving it kind of strong grip. Don't give them the V grip either. You don't want to short. If I do this, it's really pressure. Okay, you want to go in and
You know how to do it. Yeah, stand up. This guy knows how to do this. He stood up to shake my hand.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Hi, my name is Alexis Kennedy.
How's it going? Hi, my name is
I'm Alexis Kennedy. Nice to meet you guys. Very sharp today. Hi, nice to meet you guys. Alexis Kennedy. Keep going around here. Hi, Alexis Kennedy. Jacob.
Nice to meet you. Good morning.
Oh, good. Okay, hi, nice to meet you guys. My name's Alexis. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Nice to see you guys. Keep going through. Okay, hi, I'm Alexis Kennedy. Nice to meet you guys.
Yes, it was.
Alexis Kennedy.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Good morning. Nice to meet you.
Alright. It's very good exercise, guys. It's good to keep kind of, as silly as it might sound, it's a good thing to practice, even if you're meeting somebody off the streets for whatever reason. I don't know why you're meeting people off the street, but just, make sure that you get a good handshake and introduce yourself really well. It comes across really enthusiastic, like you're really confident in yourself and you're really ready for whatever is going to be thrown your way, even if you might not be fully ready. Just that first impression. They mentioned the 5-second rule. You come in sharp, give eye contact, and introduce yourself, and you get that handshake, and that's really big, important part. I was supposed to talk for a full 7 minutes, but you guys caught on really fast, so not entirely for sure. What else to mention? What's the blanks on my sheet? What should I be mentioning here? Begin with blank, blank, blank. Oh boy. Begin with making eye contact. Give that one. Begin with making eye contact. What was the other? Remember to blank, blank, blank. Remember to, oh boy. See, I don't even know the answer. Give a handshake, I think is the last question. These guys probably give me my answers better than I did. I didn't really. I forget that in high school, you guys were like having to fill out blanks and answer questions and stuff. I didn't really think about that. In job, and like when you go to jobs, you don't have to fill out any blanks. So this is a FYI. Okay, do you guys have any other questions? What other tips and tricks do you guys think would be good for being enthusiastic when you go for work?
Smile.
Smile. That's a good one. Yes. Don't be all grumpy. All right, my name's Alexis Kennedy. It's very serious. Not signing up for Men in Black. Yes.
When they're telling you about something, nod and show that you're listening, and also that you're
Another E word is engaging. Make sure you're being engaged into the conversation. Make sure you're listening. That's a freebie for you guys. Anybody else? Yes. Possibly. You might want to be careful with that one. Make sure you ask the appropriate questions. And questions to be looking for is more about probably the job that you're wanting to apply for or that you are applying for. Certain things about the company, what they do, what kind of job opportunity, what is your job going to look like. Also comes across very enthusiastic when you go into an interview. Yes.
I'll make sure if there's a question you're not comfortable answering, tell them that. There are some questions that they potentially throw at you, worded such that you're getting an answer to a question I'm not really supposed to ask.
Yes. I don't think I've ever come across that, but I doing my research of what you should prepare for an interview, that does come up. But most of these people that you're probably going to interview with are probably going to respect your guys' privacy. But it's good to be prepared for that. If you guys aren't comfortable with answering a question, you don't have to, but don't avoid certain questions. If you don't know the answer to them, say that you don't know. Anything else? I don't have a cool video to show, so I still have a lot of time to go through this section. Okay. The next thing, can I just go right into the next section?
Pardon me?
Can I just go right into the next section?
You can go right into the 2-minute pitch. That's
Awesome.
awesome.
Okay, I'm gonna, do we have the handout to look at here? Okay, yes. Yes, probably should have put this off.
That's okay.
Thank you. Okay, so I'm also taking John Coffey's place, and I apologize, I probably won't be as cool as he was. But we're gonna be talking about the 2-minute pitch, and this is something that you should have prepared for the career fair, especially just a little descriptor about yourself. I believe you guys have a handout, is that correct? That has kind of a templated version. Should have the 2-minute pitch in there. Okay, so that's kind of templated out so that you can have something to follow. Should start off with a good introduction of yourself. Pair that with the handshake, that's probably pretty good. You want to tell about what you do. So for me, if I was going to do this, I'd be, hi, my name is Alexis Kennedy. I am a software developer at Assurity. You guys should probably say that you guys are students at the TAC, or TCA. TCA, thank you. So don't say TAC, that'll probably throw them off. But tell what you're studying. That's probably really cool for potential employers to hear. When I went to the job fair, I was both in the entrepreneurship focus program and the IT focus program. And so I made sure I mentioned those things because those things are impressive. They might know that you're already in here because that's what they're there for, but just saying, I'm in the TCA program and I'm studying whatever you guys are studying right now. Ask them what their internships are going to provide. So is it okay if I just peer over your shoulder here just real quick? Ask for what you want. So, trying to pair this up with what you guys got going on here. Obviously, I didn't prepare very well. It's saying that I have developed 5 websites promoting niche technical companies and social service agencies. So if you guys did a cool project, we heard that some students are working on a big project. If you guys are doing anything super cool, point that out. Talking with some of the software developer interns, they talk about that they do stuff outside of home where they host some websites, they do separate projects. Mention those things. Those are really impressive to potential employers. The next section, that's where you're going to ask kind of what you want, or what are you looking for in an internship. For me, I was looking for real world experience because these programs are great and you're doing really cool stuff, but it's time to start actually applying that in the work environment. So for me, I would probably say, hi, my name is Alexis Kennedy. I'm a software developer at Assurity Life Insurance. Some of the things I do is web development. I also program web services. I've learned a couple of things, and I probably list off 1 or 2 other skills that I have. But I would say, like, I'm looking for some more real-world experience, something that I can gain more skills in and broaden my knowledge about software development. And then I'm going to finish up with I really enjoy talking to you more about how I can use my skills and how they can benefit you guys or potential employers, how I can help you guys through building up more websites or maybe for me it would be web services. But make sure you end with a thank you as well. They're giving you your time. They're there for, while it seems like you're only there for 2 hours, that's a big, they're there for earlier, probably later so that they can close up. They're spending time to look through you guys' resumes, make sure you have those and provide those, make copies to provide to your, to the people at the job fair. But you want to thank them for letting you be able to talk with them. And you guys don't have to absolutely follow this word for word. This is a template. You might not even get the 2 minutes. Or you're like, they're going to ask you, tell me a little about yourself. And you want to at least have something prepared for them to, you're going to do this 50 times, and not just in the career fair, but you're going to do this at the interview, you're going to do this outside. This is stuff that you can take on and evolve as you grow your career. So always having that 2-minute pitch is going to be beneficial for you guys, just to have a good starter for yourselves. I believe I'm also supposed to take them through an exercise. So why don't you guys, if you guys could at the bottom of those sheets kind of fill out maybe what you guys use as your 2-minute pitch, is that fair? I'll give you guys 2 minutes for you to decide. Just kidding, maybe a little bit more. But.
Another good tip is you're gonna do your research on the companies, right? I talked a little bit about that, and you're gonna get the job description. Employers like to know that you've looked up their company. So as part of your 2-minute pitch, if you don't have a lot to say about yourself or you're struggling with that, you could also say, hey, I noticed at Assurity from your job description you're looking for XYZ, and I feel like I have a skill that would match that, or I have a passion for working at a company like Assurity or Powderhook or whatever. Learn something about that company, even if it's just a word or 2 about their company. That shows them that you took the time ahead of time to find out about them and that you have a real interest, and that will help fill in your 2-minute pitch as well.
Yes, very much so. I probably only researched a couple of the companies that I was interested in, but making sure to probably research all of them is probably a really good idea. I know that I actually stopped at the Kidwell's booth when I was in the IT focus program and at the first job linking stuff. I didn't prepare really well for this. All I knew was that I was in an IT focus program and entrepreneurship one. I was one of the few ones that was only in the entrepreneurship focus program as well, so I kind of used it as my edge, but I used it a little bit too much. The Kidwell people asked me, what do I know about networking? And I answered, no, well, yeah, networking is good for a business. You have to be able to talk with people. That's not what they were asking. They were asking if I knew about networking in the computer world. So, but I also got they offered me a position anyway, but going in prepared is probably a better idea than trying to make stuff up on the fly, because I'm gonna always have that story with me, which is cool, but it's just a little bit embarrassing when you talk about talking with people, networking, rather than networking with computers.
And Alexis, I think we should have them stand up and practice.
Yes.
Stand up, everybody, get up your energy a little bit, find a partner, and just go for it. From what Alexis has shared with you, introduce yourself, talk about who you are, what you're looking for.
Why don't you give you 2 minutes?
Hello, my name My goal is
Practice that, maybe just if you can elevate your voice just a little bit. I know it's noisy in here. You want to make sure that the employer can hear you and that they're not straining to like what you say. Yeah, just keep practicing
Don't say your
Tell me about you.
I guess
Thank you.
So far, I did decide
The t-shirts,
real world experience. I have a
I keep saying that because I'm trying to make up stuff, and I keep like telling myself about it. Yeah, that's exactly
Hey, what's going on, guys? Hey, with Mark Who?
I'm Henry Reimer.
Well, I've been getting into programming a lot lately.
Coming in for the interview, make sure you're getting specifics and write it down. Make sure you have a pen and paper to write that down. What's the name of the person who's calling you? What's their telephone number in case you need to call them back for whatever reason? What's the name of the person who I'm going to be interviewing with? What's the address of where I'm interviewing? I recommend when you're interviewing at a company that you're not sure where it's at, take the time to drive from your home to that place prior to the interview, a day or two before, okay? That way you're going to know how long it takes you to get there approximately. You're going to know exactly where the place is at. You're going to know where to park, and you're not going to be confused and get lost. We've had people call us and say, oh, I'm going to be late, I got lost. So make sure you know where you're going. I think they talked about this prior. One of the other people said, arrive early, okay? Leave early enough that you're going to get there 10 to 15 minutes ahead of your scheduled interview. That way if you have delays, maybe traffic's heavier than you thought. Maybe there's other circumstances that are delaying you getting there. You've got plenty of time. If you get there too far ahead of time, it's okay to sit in your car. You know, just sit in your car in the parking lot and wait for a while. Think about what you're going to ask in the interview. Think about the organization. Maybe go back on the internet on your phone and look up information about that company. Or just go in and sit inside in the waiting room. That's okay. We don't mind if you're waiting in the waiting room for us until the interview comes. Do your research on the company and the interviewer. You know, nowadays there's Facebook, there's LinkedIn, there's Twitter, there's all these ways to do research on a company and even the person who's going to be interviewing you. It's always good and impressive if you know something about the potential employer before you go in for the interview. I work for Cabela's. How many know something about what's going on with Cabela's right now? Anybody? What's that? Yeah, Bass Pro and Capital One are looking at purchasing us. If you come and interview with me, one of your questions might be, how would this merger affect or acquisition affect my employment? Okay? So even if it's only one thing about the organization, ask a question about that organization. Any questions on pre-hire courtesy? Okay, Ty?
Well, so one of the things that we're here for is to understand and learn how to go through interviews, the whole process there. So with interviews, you're not just going in there to sit in front of somebody. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that goes on in the interview. From my side is the employer's perspective. That impression is the very first thing that I see. Honestly, if I see somebody that's not going to fit the need of where I want them, I'm not going to take them. You know, dressing for the position is very important. So, you know, wearing hoodies, jeans, things like that, really not appropriate when it comes to doing an interview, especially at a professional environment. You know, imagine going into a professional environment, seeing people dressed like me all day long, and then you go in for an interview wearing pants. It's not gonna be very, and you're gonna be set aside and everybody's gonna ostracize you. It's just how it's gonna be. Greeting and handshakes. So I'll give you a little quick tip about handshakes. Has anybody given a handshake and had little sweaty palms? Way to get around that. Bring a bottle of water. Take a bottle of cold water, and you have that in your hands. Before you shake somebody's hand, do that. Hold the bottle of water, and it helps that. Don't have cell phones out. So if I come and I see you come up to the table and you're on your cell phones or on social media, things like that, tells me that as an employer, probably not going to want to hire you. Posture is important too. You know, kind of go in there slumped, kind of like this. It's not really, you know, effective to go to an interview. You know, when you go to an interview, it's about power, about prestige. You go in and you act like you want that job. If you go in acting like you don't want it, you're not going to get that job. Asking questions is important. So one of the things that we're going to find out in my interviews, specifically for the students that I hire, I ask them, what's your major and why did you choose it? Know those kind of things. You know, I mean, it's important to know if you're moving into an IT field, why are you enjoying IT? What things make you really love IT? Asking questions too. So if I ask you a question and you have to take time to think about it, that's fine. That's something that we expect. We also expect that if you have to take time to think about it, you can also write it down. Or you can ask the question again, get clarification. It's better to ask the question and be for sure of exactly what you're going to be teaching or what you're going to be talking about, rather than just kind of trail off onto, you know, a different subject that has nothing to do with the question itself. And then with your answers, don't just give general answers. So if I ask you a question of, tell me a time about something very specific, that doesn't tell me, you know, that doesn't say, give me a very general answer. I want to know what that issue was, how you addressed it, and then how was the resolution? At the end, how did it work? You know, those are the things that we'll be asking as employers. The post-interview. So after you've gone through the very first initial part of the interview, after you go through that, so here you'll go through that quick pitch. You'll go through that process. From there, you'll come into an actual interview with me. You'll sit down in front of me and have an interview. From that point, it's really good to send me a thank you card or to send me an email just saying, hey, it was great interviewing with you. Why is that important? Anybody know why? Yep. So it's just important, you know, those things. How am I going to remember you? You know, that's going to be one way that's going to set you aside. If I have 50 people that I'm going through an interview and one person sends me a thank you card, that person's going to set out a little higher than the rest.
Okay, so job offer. So I'm calling you and I've decided to make a job offer to you. Once I make that job offer, make sure you're getting specifics about the job. Again, have a pen and paper handy. Ask specifics about, you know, what is my title going to be? What's the start date? What will my hours be? What will my wage be? What's the dress code? Now, this next thing I'm going to tell you is probably the one most important thing as an employer that I can tell you and that I hope you take away from today is, as a company, I do background checks, I do drug tests, okay? If you've got something on your background today, in 20 years, I may not be able to hire you, okay? Because right now I work for the bank part of Cabela's. We do fingerprints for all of our applicants. If something comes back on that background check, we have to follow banking guidelines, okay? If you've got something that happened, a felony charge, for example, that happened 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago, I may not be able to hire you. And as an employer, there's nothing more disappointing for me to have to call you after you have your background check done and say, you know what, I'm sorry, we had this come back, and I can't hire you. It's going to be disappointing to me, it's also going to be disappointing to you. So always remember, when you're faced with the choice of should I do that or shouldn't I, make sure you make the right choice, because you don't want to have that come back and haunt you years from now, or even now as a student trying to find a job. It's also very embarrassing for you. It's embarrassing for us as an employer to have to talk to you about those things. Also keep in mind with background checks, we see a lot of urinating in public. So don't be getting drunk, because we're seeing that as your employer. Obviously in HR we keep that confidential, but a lot of things like that will come back on, and I see you smiling. I know it is funny, but it can be embarrassing to you to know that that's going to come back on your background check and your employer is going to see that, okay? So keep that in mind when you're making choices now as a young student. Who's the manager? You want to ask that question. Find out who's going to be managing you, who you'll be reporting to. In this situation, find out, is there a mentor? Who will my mentor be? And then ask, are there any other expectations for me as an employee? Any questions on the job offer? Okay, let's talk about starting your internship. So be proud of yourself. I offered you that job. You were the top candidate, and I wanted you as an employer. You were selected over everyone else, so be confident that you were offered that position. Show your employer what you've got. Arrive early on your first day of employment. Once you're there working, make sure you're asking questions. Don't ever think of any question as a dumb question. All questions that you have are good, because how are you going to learn if you don't ask that question? I'm going to turn over to Ty.
Well, and as Judy says, asking dumb questions, really there is no dumb question. The reason why is if it's something that you're thinking about, maybe 5 or 6 other people are saying the same thing and they're just too afraid to speak up. So never be afraid to speak up. That's the big thing too. Your ideas. You guys are the next generation. So I've been in my position, years. I'm not going to say I'm in my 30s yet or anything. However, I get put into a rut where I think the same things all the time. Bringing in fresh minds, things like that. It's really important, especially for a business. If you want to be an innovation, company that deals with innovation, you have to have new minds, new mindsets. Question the rules, question authority, but do it to a point where it's professional and respectful. Remember that the job is a professional environment, depending on where you go. So where I'm at the University of Lincoln College of Business. So I work around professors, doctors, very educated people at all times. So making sure that you set a good first impression with everybody is important. Being punctual, it's very important. If you're late for a job, or if you are not there a couple minutes early, then a lot of times the mindset is you're already late. For me, every day I think if I'm not at least 10 minutes early, I'm already late. It really should just be the mindset to put yourself into, so you're always prepared, ready to go when the day starts. Dressing appropriately. So where I'm at, this is the kind of attire that I have to wear daily, weekly, things like that. I enjoy it. If it's something that you guys don't enjoy, I know it's pretty stuffy, hot weather, things like that, it's horrible. But it's one of those things, once you get in, put yourself into that position. Wear your ties, wear your skirts, things that make you feel confident, make you feel comfortable. Do those things, because that's important for you as the employee. We as a company, we're going to stand there and be the same, do the same all the time. But bringing in kind of new, fresh life, that's something that's very important. And as you guys grow and get into your careers, you'll see that for the next generation of people that come in when you guys are in my place. And then don't be afraid to be yourself. That's the big thing too. So everybody has their own personality. If I want a drone, I'd hire a drone. It's just important for you guys to always come in and just be who you are, because that's more than likely why you're hired.
Okay, so the next section we're going to talk about is have a clear understanding of what you want to accomplish or get out of the job that you were hired for. Set your individual goals for yourself and for your internship. Maybe I want to find a job I enjoy. Or maybe I want to be the next CIO. Those can be some goals. You can have maybe small goals or lofty goals. And establish different goals as you work through the internship, as you find you may have different goals. that's me, I'm sorry. Be prepared, oh gosh. I guess I wasn't prepared. Make sure you're reviewing documents. So as an intern, you may be asked to attend meetings with other IT individuals or even other business people within the organization you're working for. Review documents and materials ahead of time if you get them. Bring any needed supplies or equipment. So maybe they're going to have you taking notes. So maybe you're going to take notes on your laptop, maybe you're going to take notes with pen and paper. Make sure you have that with you. Even if you're just participating in the meeting, maybe you want to bring your laptop or pen and paper so that if you're thinking of things as the meeting is going on, you can jot those down, okay? Okay, now it's Ty's turn.
Being confident. So, example, if I'm sitting there and I'm kind of like, here, I'm not gonna get looked at. You need to go out there. You need to jump right in, go in, shake that hand. Go in there and do it. Do those things. Confidence. Confidence matters. It's very important. You know, speak up, look up. Why am I gonna hire you as opposed to hiring you? What are you gonna set aside that's different than what this young man will be doing too? So keep that kind of stuff in mind. Also, you know, be accountable. So we have to work. It's just how life is. You have to go to a job every day, punch in, do your job, punch out. I mean, it's great if you can find that perfect career, that perfect job that you're gonna love. But that's where this gives you that opportunity to figure out if that's really the position that you guys want to be in. You know, the accountability is a big concern. So for me, where I work at, I'm the supervisor of the IT department for the College of Business. How many of you guys are going to plan to go to UNL? So some of the First Job Lincoln people that we had that went through the program originally, we hired them on as student workers at UNL. There are some that have graduated and are actually going on towards an incredible career. So I mean, this program is something that really does work. These people that we've brought in, I know of at least 4 different people that are becoming successful. One gentleman, he got in and he's now, he has an internship this summer for Boeing. It's his dream job. He got that because it was a stepping stone from the help center moving up. So, you know, those things are important. And then just, you know, kind of have fun and stay calm. A lot of things are going to happen. You know, explosions are going to happen. It is what it is. But it's going to be how you deal with those kind of issues. You know, any kind of a problem, stay calm, have a level head. You know, businesses and employers, they're going to look at that. You know, if you can't handle yourself in a sticky situation, I'm not going to want you on my team. I want people that are, you know, I can be for sure that I count on and depend on. So show those things.
Okay, and the last section we'll cover is don't take things personally, okay? You know, not everyone is going to have the same opinion or the same point of view. It is okay to disagree with somebody, but if you do disagree with somebody's point of view, make sure you're being respectful. You know, you can listen to them and hear what they have to say, but the way you may disagree with them is you want to make sure you're respectful to that person. Explain your point of view. This is how I see it, versus getting upset about it or angry with the situation. So that is it for our presentation. Do any of you have questions or comments or want us to expand on anything?
So me as the employer, I'm up here. I mean, this would be the opportunity where you got the right people that are actually going to be interviewing you in a couple of weeks. So if you do have additional questions, now's the best time.
Okay, thank
Thank
you.
you all.
Thank you for participating in ASIT today. We hope that you got a lot of your questions answered about becoming interns with First Job Lincoln. Just want to share with you that one of the things that we all really like about this program is a great public-private partnership. You with the public schools, and us with private enterprise. And I want to thank Sam and Sabrina and Dawson and Ty and Judy and Kim and Andy and Alexis for all taking their time today to come in here and share with you. And I also want to thank Dan Hilligus, and Dan Nickel, and Hildy Dickinson, and Jamie Greenlee from downstairs with the Career Academy. All of these people helped put on ASA today. So help me in giving them a warm thank you. Now, if I were you, I would be wondering, what about those donuts over there? And I just want to share with you, what we would like you to do is fill out your evaluation that you got when you first came in. And if you need a pen, raise your hand and someone will come and give you a pen. So if you will fill that out and then hand those to us, and please take a roll as our thank you for being here. And I'm going to give you a pen right now. And Kim, do you have any other passing comments that you want to make?
Just a reminder that the sheet that I went over first thing, pull that out, put it on your fridge, put it wherever you're going to see it. And remember, we're going to see you in 2 weeks for the mock interviews. So do take all the wonderful tips that you received today, practice, 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 and that'll be the next phase. And we look forward to seeing you. Thank you.